Well, good. What is this Wednesday afternoon to everyone? Happy Halloween. And we're here for an emergency transmission of The Last Stand. My good friend and partner in podcast excellence, Jay Campbell. How the hell are you, Jay?
I am amazing on this Halloween. I have my doctor's roundtable in about an hour and 45 minutes. And Monica and I are going to a costume party tonight. So I am
nice. Now, inquiring minds want to know, Jay, what is your costume?
My costume is lame, but I will tell everyone Monica's costume, however, is amazing. And
tell us about Monica's then.
I will let the pictures tell Monica's story later tonight, but I will say that it's so good. I wish we were entering like a really expensive, prize party in Vegas, because I think she would have a chance of winning. I won't say anything other than that she looks amazing in it, but you will laugh out. It's like laugh out loud funny.
Well, since you brought it up, Jay, I don't know if you heard my story or not, but about, almost 10 years ago, 2004, I was working for Marriott, and we were
14 years ago, you mean?
Was that 14 years ago? Wow, it was. Hey, I'm a Bible college graduate, not a math major. So anyway,
we're old. It's all is.
Anyway, they had a costume contest at this event. We were at Caesars in Lake Tahoe because that's where I was living. And dude, back then it was $1,000, and they said if somebody was really good, they'd pay $15. So I dressed up as the sweet transvestite guy,
nice.
Learned the dance and the song, and took home 15 hundo.
That's awesome, dude.
It was great. And it wasn't even Halloween related. So anyway, there you go.
Well, so just real quick, I mean, a lot of people that follow me know this, but you don't, because you started following me right after we stopped. But 5 years in a row, Monica and I did body painting in Las Vegas for charity.
Oh,
and
really?
We entered. I mean, I have some of the most amazing costumes ever. I could even just pull some of them up right now. I mean, you know how Facebook, because you're back on Facebook, Jeffrey.
Absolutely.
You know how they show you, as soon as you log on to that horrific, whatever it is now, they show you memories.
I'm not sure that I want to see you in body paint, Jay Campbell.
Dude, I have some amazing body paint. So amazing that in 2011, with the X, before the great Monica, we won 15 grand.
15 grand?
At MGM, dude. I walked out with a suitcase of hundos.
Wow, that makes my 15 hundo look terrible. That's the difference, ladies and gentlemen, between Lake Tahoe and Las Vegas, right there.
I want to see that picture, but I was Captain America, and my wife was ex-wife, who's actually my house right now, taking my children trick-or-treating tonight.
Wow.
She was Wonder Woman, and it was amazing. I
mean, it was all body paint.
Yeah, anybody who's watching this right now, you can Google Captain America body paint, and it's like my picture is the first picture. We because it was at MGM. Yeah, it was at MGM, and I think it was like the last year of that club that was famous, Studio 54.
I remember that. Yeah, somebody must have known me back then, because they put in the chat, Jeff, you weren't optimized yet. And I wasn't. And I'm still not, but I'm on my way.
So Jeff, next year, Tony is like pushing me really hard that we're going to have, like, all of us in our inner circles, we're definitely going to do one more. And maybe we have to wait a little bit, but to get everybody where we needs to be. But he wants to do body painting with all of us and just show up as like the Legion of Superheroes.
You know, I'd be in for that. How long do I have?
Next Halloween, if we get it to next Halloween.
Next Halloween, I can do it. I can do it by next Halloween.
You're already there now. Who you kidding?
No, I can do it by next Halloween. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Hey, check this out. So I have this because I was posting some pictures today on
people are like, we tuned in to hear about the Great White Brotherhood, and now we're hearing Jeff and Jay.
It's Halloween, man. Go check it out.
Michelle Dawson is in the house.
So they can all see it. So that was me and Monica.
Whoa, check that out.
So that was me and Monica in 2015. So that's She Punished.
That's not body paint, though.
That's body paint, bro.
Is that body paint?
That's straight body paint.
Whoa, that's impressive.
I mean, the white is obviously a holster.
Yeah.
Guns and stuff like that. It's leather, and the boots are leather, but it's all body paint.
Dude, that is amazing stuff.
Yeah, we didn't finish. We didn't even finish in the top 10 that year. But
it still looks good.
No, yeah, it's amazing. I think the best one, even though we didn't win,
If I have to be punished, I'd rather be punished by Monica than you, bro.
Yeah, I know, dude. She's a looker. And then one more, just to brag. So this was Jim. Can you guys see this Facebook right now? Is it showing that? So that was
nice.
Yeah, that was Flash, and Monica was Wonder Woman on the left, and then Jim was Solomon Grundy, and then that's his wife Rosie right there. And
how about that? That's cool stuff.
Pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome.
Okay, we're done with that.
Well, next Halloween, I can't wait for it to get here.
It's fun, man. It's fun to do body painting because I have like an amazing body paint artist. He lives in Pittsburgh and he comes out to Vegas. He's been featured on, a lot of the celebrity shows or whatever, reality television shows. He's amazing. He's a great artist.
I've been wanting.
He does that freestand. He has nothing. He literally just gets your body as a canvas and just starts painting.
I've been wanting some type of a motivation to get into the Montecone Campbell zone. That'll do it for me right there.
Totally, dude. Totally.
I got to meet Tony. We have a great friend, Tony Montecone. I've not met him yet, but him and Jay are tight, and I can't wait to meet Tony. Shout out to you, brother. Looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah, man. Tony's an amazing dude. And yeah, he actually reached out to me recently. He said,
me too.
That's cool. Yeah.
Me too. So listen, Jay, we had Bob Saunders on the other night, and it was an amazing interview. A lot of great information shared. Some people have shared some concerns about it. I know you have, I don't know if concerns are the right word, but you thought that you at least want to come on and talk about it a little bit. I can eat the meat and spit out the bones, even though that's a terrible analogy from what he talked about. But I wasn't really that worried or upset about it. But I knew there were some things that didn't resonate great with me. But I think overall it was still a great interview, and I think you do as well, right?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, I was so uplifted. I know both of us were. And then, again, shout out to the folks at FLFE.
Yes, sir.
Clayton and Jeff, because, Jeff and I couldn't even go to sleep.
No, it took me a long time.
I was so wired from that, that elevation, the conscious energy stream that they put on us. And obviously Bob's information was profound. And, quite honestly, there's no question that every time you watch it, it definitely does raise the boat.
Can I ask a stupid question that just popped into my mind?
Sure.
Is there any data on what happens if you have sex in a high fluffy field?
That would be a great question for those guys. I honestly, I have no clue.
Not that there's any likelihood of that happening to me anytime in the near future, but I just thought it was an interesting question.
Well, since I have sex in a high consciousness field quite often, I can definitely say that there's something to it.
All right. I'm glad to hear that. Is Monica ever there?
Is Monica ever there? She's always there, man. There's only me and Monica, dude. I've moved to that level.
No, that was a solo joke, Jay. Sorry about that. All right, moving right along. I just spent the last hour with Rex Bear. You got to excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a little bit on a different frequency. Let me get back into mode because this is serious business. Let's talk about this, Jay. What did you think of the interview and what do you want to bring up about it? Mark Center Saint says he couldn't sleep till after 3 a.m. and he was under the same fluffy FLFE high consciousness field. Tracy Dyer says she didn't sleep until last night, finally. Wow.
Well, I will say this, Jeff. Monica and I trained later today because we had all our children had all their Halloween festivities this morning. They have like a big parade, and Monica and my ex were getting them ready. And then we got there early, and then there was no parking. And then we were there for 2 hours and blah, blah. So everything got thrown off the balance today.
Right.
And then I'm flying back to see my aunt tomorrow who's dying of cancer. So
into flyover country.
Yeah, I'm flying into the flyover country. Exactly. But so there's a lot going on, but I love
flyover country.
I was weak today in the gym and I slept what I felt like well last night. And I started thinking about it and I was like, you know what goes up must come down. So I'm sure.
Interesting. There's a crash.
Sure our parasympathetic nervous systems were like whacked,
Yeah, there's a crash. Interesting.
Yeah. I was just weak today. I got through my workout, but I didn't have the normal strength that I have. So I feel like there was, we definitely were elevated and the energy was pushed very, very high. I will say this, I've watched it 2 times. And when I say I've watched it 2 times, like the first time I watched it bits and pieces, and then I've watched it all the way through. And most of Bob's information resonates with me.
I agree.
There's 3 or 4 things that, you and I talked off the air that I'll be happy to bring up. We're definitely going to give Bob an opportunity to come back very soon. to clear some of the things up. I feel like you and I didn't do as good a job as we would normally do because we were so overwhelmed with the information.
We were into his information.
We were. And so I don't think we asked some of the right follow-up questions, and not to any fault of our own. Obviously, we also have the fluffy field, and we were just like, so much profound wisdom.
There was a lot of love in the room.
There was a ton. And it's like I was telling you off air, for everybody. And by the way, I've read the comments. There's been some amazing questions, there's been some amazing questions, some really, really good comments. Dude, we have a really highbrow audience.
And then every now and then I get these emails from Jay that says, will you please delete this comment and block this guy from the channel?
There's always one or two people that just want to start, you know what?
Yeah.
Nothing.
That's true.
There is. And like, I'll leave a nasty comment sometimes because I'm like, are you serious? I'm at a point now in my life where you have to leave like 10 or 11 comments that are so, ASSNINE. And then I'll say, okay, well then just delete yourself. Why are you watching? Why do people watch?
So here's what I don't understand. Gerald Clark, Robert USN vet, 3rd generation knows Gerald Clark, but I still can't get him to come on my channel.
He doesn't go on anybody's channel anymore. And Gerald, I think, is honestly mad at me because I posted something on my Facebook wall 3 weeks ago, and it was not from me, but it was from someone else who I will be doing a webinar with, who's a very advanced researcher from the Mayo Clinic. And it was regarding a test that he wanted to do for all of these men and women that eat the quote unquote carnivore diet. And it's essentially all they eat is meat. They don't eat anything else. They don't eat vegetables. They don't eat fruit. They don't eat any carbs. They just eat meat. Yeah. And so he wanted to be like, look, guys, your diet is nonsense. And I will genetically test every single one of you if you want to take the Pepsi challenge for 90 days. And so he said, hey, would you share this on your Facebook wall? And of course, me and Jay Campbell, I did, because I would like to see that too, because I also think that diet's nonsense.
Sure.
And I had a bunch of vegans attack, which they are prone to do.
Attack of the vegans.
Dude. So, Gerald wrote something that was absurd.
Is Gerald a vegan?
Yes, he's been a vegan for a long time. Okay. And I support all vegans. I don't care. Everyone has free choice. But when you attack people, especially me on my Facebook wall, I'm not going to stand there and not retaliate, which, I know you're supposed to not, do that. But anyway, it got out of hand, and some idiot, I'll just say idiot, threatened me and said,
Isn't it interesting that vegans attack?
Yeah, exactly.
Seems a little bit of a non sequitur.
It is, dude.
But that's just me.
But it's the world we live in, man. Like, they want to defend, not just they, groups of people want to defend their, paradigm, their ideology. Right. And sometimes they go so overboard to defend it. And it had nothing to do with vegans. I mean, like, Gerald's comment was like, I can't believe you would put something in here about the innocent slaughter of helpless animals. I'm like, what the hell does that have to do with testing people who eat only meats genetics?
Right.
But then, of course, because Gerald's a very influential person, a bunch of people came in after, and then it just got so bad. I had to delete a lot of people's comments.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but about veganism, a very smart person, which I told Jeff, you guys off the air, reached out to me yesterday morning and said he watched the entire show. He's an older person. This person knows who they are, who they are. They may be watching right now, and I listen to them often. And he told me, he's like, look, man, I was a vegan for a long time. I know many, many vegans who have been vegans for a long time. And let me tell you this, and this is an older gentleman. He's 60 plus.
Right.
He said, most vegans that I know right now who have been vegans for a long time are in absolutely poor health. So he said, and when I say poor health, I mean they have diseases of aging, they have massive bone mineral density issues. And again, all of this is known when you don't get enough protein. So if you are a vegan, as I always say, you make sure you're getting enough protein, which most vegans are undernourished in protein. And so as they age, their bone mineral density becomes compromised and they have problems. It's that simple. So anyway, that's what he was saying to me. So he was like, look, man, as someone who's lived the vegan lifestyle the whole, a long time, and I know all of the principles around it, I understand how important it is. I am not into killing animals. I also too believe it's senseless. Humans should not do it, but I'm here to tell you that there is another side of the equation. So again, being a vegan, not being a vegan, personal choice, do what you want. But there's always going to be downsides to anything.
I did it for a year, Jay, and I didn't feel bad, but I never felt optimal.
So most people that I speak with who have been vegans or became vegans for a long time say very, very clearly the same thing. They feel that they don't have maximum energy. They feel really, really weak. They always are not capable beyond, say, 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon of exercising. They don't have the energy. That's always what I hear. And that's why many vegans also sleep a lot.
But what about these vegan bodybuilders and stuff that look great?
Again, we're all biochemically unique.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Anyone can do anything and look amazing. Trust me, you could take the top 1% of the pro bodybuilders in the world, and this is, again, the genetic mutants of the world. And you could feed them Doritos, potato chips, and Mountain Dew, and they would still be jacked.
Oh, really? That's very interesting. I never thought about that.
Yes, that's the genetics that they were given. That's the hand they were dealt by God, the many gods that Bob told us exist.
Isn't one of the top bodybuilders named Jay Campbell?
No, definitely not.
Who am I thinking of?
Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler, that's right.
Yeah, Jay's actually a good friend of mine. Jay is no longer, he retired from competitive bodybuilding 4 years ago, and he's a successful guy. He lives in Vegas still. Yeah. Has a couple of companies, very successful entrepreneur. But he was always a very smart guy, did well with his money, and invested in things after. But
we happened to work out at the same gym, and I just had a really good workout, and I'm on the treadmill, and I'm feeling really good about myself. And Jay Cutler comes up and gets on the treadmill right next to me, and I'm like, bro, I was feeling really good about myself until you walked up over here.
What gym was that? Was that in Florida or in Vegas?
It was in Vegas.
Yeah.
And he just cracked up laughing. He thought that was hilarious. A really nice guy. And we talked.
He is a nice guy,
45 minutes or whatever.
Really, really nice guy. And honestly, Jay was a great champion. Well, he's a great champion because he's also a really good quote. And he was a very marketable individual. So, he lasted 4 years. And, you can ask him, and he's very open about this to this day. And I don't want to switch the topic, but.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's good. It's a good question because people ask about it all the time. But the wherewithal that those guys have to go through with the drugs and the training, the intensity of the training to build muscle that size, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's just, you are going to risk massive physiological damage. And by the way, look at the guy that he competed against all those years, Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman right now is having spinal fusion surgery. He can't, he's done. He can't walk.
That's terrible.
And he's only a little bit older than Jay.
That's terrible. That's really sad.
But that's what it takes. Those guys are real, true Roman gladiators.
They are. So besides the vegan part, and you're not saying that it didn't resonate with you, you're just saying, you know what, to each his own, right?
Exactly.
What else did you want to talk about that came out in that interview?
Well, the reincarnation thing still doesn't stick well with me. And I'm not trying to support my own individual beliefs or philosophies. I've had a lot of people muscle test the idea of reincarnation, and it always tests incredibly strong and integrous.
Does it? Okay.
So it's really, maybe Bob is saying, I sent you a screenshot. Somebody went in on the channel because I said, this does not resonate with me and I don't agree with Bob at all. But somebody replied to it, and I think it may have been somebody that actually is in connection with the Great White Brotherhood. And their answer was really good. I can actually read it real quick because I know I sent it.
Please do.
Just pulling it up. It says, Jay Campbell, sorry, I don't mean to discredit your experiences anyway, but I think that because we are all one, and I agree with that, we are all connected. It may be very possible to connect with other people's spirits and feel as if you are them and vice versa. The feeling of unity is also what the Great White Brotherhood is aiming for as they progress spiritually, which is why they try to stay away from speaking or thinking of individuals. And you may have noticed that they almost always speak of groups of people and not individuals.
Which is true.
Regarding your second point, the Great White Brotherhood has stated that this incarnation on Earth is just a fraction of our journey towards perfection. So that somewhat agrees with me that the soul is, constantly as an energetic, force, constantly when it leaves the meat suit, it doesn't die. So there's much else. Then he goes on to say there's so much else to learn in other higher dimensions. And I think that as there are virtually endless amounts of souls, God should not have to worry about Earth's incarnations. This is also just my opinion, but I hope it may have cleared things up a bit about the Great White Brotherhood stance on reincarnation. Also, I hope Bob covers this topic again the next time he's on your show, because I can understand this confusion about reincarnation. Yeah. So to summarize that, he's saying that what Bob was telling us was the soul. Okay, so this is what I was thinking. Maybe what Bob is saying, and I'm not speaking for Bob, but I'm just improvising here. Maybe what Bob is saying when he says that no one reincarnates is maybe he's saying that Jay Campbell and Jeffrey Doherty don't reincarnate. Well, yes, if that's the case, of course. But when we talk about reincarnation, we're just talking about our soul inhabiting a new meat suit. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
So maybe what Bob is saying is he's saying Jay and Jeff are never reincarnating. In fact, the Great White Brotherhood have never known us to reincarnate ever again. And I would 100% agree with that.
But here's my thing, Jay. This is what I don't get. And I remember when I learned this is part of the spiritualist dog. When I'm looking at the spiritualist book I was reading, if we are a spiritual being and we believe that we're a spiritual being or an energetic spiritual essence, correct?
Yes.
And this is a meat suit that we're trapped in, basically.
Yes.
So why, once having gained freedom from this meat suit, why would it be requisite that a spirit come back into a meat suit in order to continue its evolution, growth, and progression? I don't get that part.
Well, no, it's simple. I don't know how you don't get that. I mean, it's not about you. It's about God. It's just, I mean, because that's the thing too. Bob said,
"Oh, I see where you're coming from."
Same thing that Matthew Ferry and David Hawkins say. See, this is why I believe, and I've said this from the beginning, that I don't feel that Bob is being led down a path by malevolent.
First of all, Jay, I have to take exception with that. It is all about me. What's wrong with you?
You're right, man. We have to celebrate you, Jeffrey. Happy Halloween. But the truth is, the real truth is, again, from my spiritual mentors, and I look at David Hawkins as my number one spiritual mentor. And then obviously I work with Matthew, who guides me. And there are others, but there's no doubt in my mind, and this, again, what resonates, not what I believe, but what resonates with me, that the idea that God, and Bob said the same thing, that God is not an external force. He is all things and all, so by the way, I took this quote. This is what Bob said at the very end. I just typed this up when I put it in our group.
Still don't get it, by the way.
Dude, you got to download WhatsApp, please, because you're missing some really good conversation.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
Well, listen.
Well, you know what? With the whole thing I went through in South Florida and getting on and off, my whole damn Apple ID is jacked up and I can't get it right, so I can't do anything. So,
oh God,
I hate to be.
No, dude, I had that happen. I had that
when
happen.
They say that no good deed goes unpunished, and I'm almost ready to believe that.
Dude, I had that happen with Monica when I first got together with her because of her son and her ex and that whole, oh God, I feel you. So here's what Bob said. This is amazing, by the way. So Bob said at the very end of the interview, I literally typed it up as he said exactly. This is verbatim. There is nothing. You don't exist in any form. Planet Earth doesn't exist. The galaxy doesn't exist. God is all that exists as an invisible, unknowable force in a form you don't understand. Let me say that again.
Yeah, that's true. I hate to think of it that way, but that's true.
There is nothing. You don't exist in any form. Planet Earth doesn't exist. The galaxy doesn't exist. God is all that exists as an invisible, unknowable force in a form you don't understand.
So we are God's way of experience.
Yes. And that's exactly what Hawkins says. And that's exactly what Matthew says. Remember what Matthew's definition of God was. God is the quantum field.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm lost. And that's why we got to get Bob back, because Bob is saying that reincarnation doesn't happen. But maybe what he's saying is that reincarnation of us as our meat suits, Jay Campbell, Jeffrey Doherty, doesn't happen, meaning Jay Campbell and Jeffrey Doherty never come back, which of course I agree with that. So I just believe that our energy leaves this body and goes off. But to your question, because your question is good,
like Tracy says, we're virtual reality for God. Exactly.
Or no, what was the thing that I said? We're Siri. God is Siri.
Yeah.
But dude, your question though is actually really good, because I don't think, and again, I'm not just me saying this. This is also in Journey of the Souls. this is on all these amazing scientific books that have, documented life after death and, have these people communicate after they passed on, and the experiments and Journey of the Souls. I think the guy's name is Gary S. But anyway, I don't think you do have to come back, Jeff. But I do believe that there is an opportunity for select aware beings, meaning souls, conscious expressions of God, holographic fragments of God, to come back in a form that allows God to experience.
Interesting.
So I think it's a choice.
Somebody was saying something to me today about that they felt like they came back to do a specific mission here in this time space experience. Interesting.
Well, and again, I just always default because it's so recent in my mind, but Matthew Ferry says we're not here to learn lessons. It's the same thing. And Bob obviously said the exact same thing on Monday. Yeah. It's just about the experience of the experience.
Yeah. And Tracy made a good point, just like with the rods that I make and use. Questions to the Great White Brotherhood need to be specific.
Probably.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
And who's to say too that Bob is receiving the data and then transposing it or transferring it onto paper exactly as it was, channeled into him? There's always a potential break in the knowledge.
Yeah, we've all played that telephone game.
I mean, bottom line, if Bob actually comes back and says, no, I'm saying that there's no Jay Campbell or Bob Sanders or Jeffrey Doherty reincarnated, then I'll be like, okay, we're all on the same page. There's nothing that I massively disagree with. The other things, though, that you and I talked about were for sure we didn't go down the Gnostic pathway like we should have because he left it wide open for us. But I think you and I were just kind of, so overwhelmed with the profound nature of the interview and the information that we didn't follow up. But that should have been somewhere in the beginning because he mentioned religious teachings. Why didn't we say, okay, Bob, what is the origin? And again, you guys, everybody watching, this is the most important question. I personally believe, I'm sure Jeff agrees with me, for Bob on the next go around is what is the origin of our spiritual teachings? And I believe it is the Gnostic Christianity tome, which is obviously the Nag Hammadi and the Gospel of, the Gospel of Mark, the Gospel of John. I mean, I believe those are the actual real teachings of the Christ. And of course, they've all been covered up and, altered by humans. And maybe again, Archons help the humans do it. Reptilians, I don't know. Obviously he told us the Anunnaki or the names of the Anunnaki are thought forms. He did say the Anunnaki exist. That was another thing. That we have to ask him about, because if they do exist, then they have to have aren't there real beings, like influential beings or leaders of them? I don't know. He said they were thought.
Rex said to tell you, Nanu.
Is he watching right now?
He just sent me the text.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
As we come to a complete standstill. So what did you think about the white light thing? Go to the light, don't go to the light. And he said, go to the light.
It resonates. It's true. Again, until you're there. Until you're there, I don't really understand any of it anyway. My ex-wife, I don't know if I've ever told you the story, but when we were in Mexico in 2004, she died in my hands 3 times. She had a massive anaphylactic reaction to shellfish that she ate.
Oh,
she got giant hives all over her body, like in that movie Hitch with Will Smith, where there was the hives.
Oh, no.
Yeah, she got the whole thing. So I had to throw her over my shoulder and run out of this hotel we were at. And thank God, because I didn't speak a word of English. Now I have Paquito ability, but then
Spanish, he means, folks, Spanish.
What did I say?
You said you didn't speak a word of English.
Oh yeah, Spanish. So I went up the stairs and there was a cabbie right there, thank God. And he understood English and Spanish, and he took us to a clinic. And thankfully the guy there understood a little bit of English, because they would have thought she was just like some drunk tourista, but she was having a reaction. They had to inject her with, what do you call it? Not hydrocodone. What's it called?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Hydrocortisone.
Yeah. And, but she almost died, and she did in my arms in the cab, essentially go out, and I was giving her CPR. And so anyway, her story is that she did see the tunnel of light.
Oh, she did.
She did. And she got really big into past life, seeing the light, near-death experiences, all that stuff, and was really involved in that for 2 years, and was always telling me about stuff that happened to her. Wow. At that time of my life, I was not as where I'm at now. And so I'd be like, whatever, honey, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it'd be
Question from the
cool.
chat room, Jay. If we are a collective consciousness, do you think that when we go back to our higher self, that our higher self comes back as parts of the others? So we're never exactly the same soul. Is that what you're saying? We're coming back as different souls?
I mean, it's possible.
Interesting.
I mean, again, in the Journey of the Soul's book, I think that's probably that person probably read that book, that question. In the Journey of the Soul's book, they say that you go back to your oversoul group. And as an oversoul, all of the oversoul, so essentially you're in a soul grouping. So you and I have talked about this. So all of our friends and our peers and the people that we've been connected with in this incarnation, we are in the same soul group.
You know, you're the second person that said that to me in as many days.
So we're in the same soul group, and we all make these deals with each other, you know, that we're going to play whatever role that needs to be played in the next incarnation for each other, you know. And
so you agreed to be the body paint guy.
Yes, Jeffrey, I am the optimization man. This go around.
It's somebody's in here saying that Lucifer's the light, the bright light, go to the dim light. And I think they're serious. That's a whole new level. I never thought about the bright light and the dim light. Let's go to
Lucifer,
the dim light.
Light bringer. I don't know, man.
Wow.
There was the whole Luciferianism stuff, the construct of like people that follow that, you know, whether I actually believe that that's an actual thought form or not, because I actually believe that, you know, the people that are following Luciferianism, it is a religion. So I believe it's more than a thought form, but maybe it is a thought form that's now given life, as Bob says, because it's possible.
Well, there is a Satan thought form that's been created by Christianity, no doubt about it. But there
would have to be. And Bob does say there are demonics. Right.
Yeah,
so we know there are astral demonics. One other thing, and this isn't, I totally forgot. I'm glad that just came to me. So I spoke to Jason Rice this last night, as I told you, and he's going to be the guy we're going to bring on next week. Brilliant guy, extremely believable. Definitely does not seem like a liar or a con artist. He's very down home, extremely humble and genuine. And he told me straight up that and he watched the show.
This is good. Yeah.
He said that there are absolutely 100% clones. He worked side by side. They are identical to human beings. They can literally.
They're functional.
100% functional. He said the only question that he has that he doesn't understand because he hasn't been, because again, remember all these people that serve in the secret space program have been they've been age regressed. So he's doing a lot of like regression hypnosis and stuff now. He's had 4 sessions, and he said that.
Jay, what do you mean they've been age regressed?
Well, anyone who served in the secret space program, if you've ever listened to any of these people in the secret space program,
I haven't.
They wipe them clean, dude. It's called Clockwork Orange, and then they just reintegrate them back in society, so they don't remember what they do.
Oh, so it's like setting your computer back to a different time.
Exactly. So when they age regress them, they can actually literally, that's why I've always known this, that they have the ability to manipulate time.
Now, Mark is being a little bit silly, but I think he's also being serious. He says, do clones have belly buttons? They do, right? They look exactly like humans.
They're a clone. I mean, that's why they're called clones. But this is what he said about clones. He said, the only thing I don't know is, and again, I did a podcast with Shane Bales. Shane is in the Decoders of Truth. I did the podcast with him in the very end of 2016. He's a brilliant dude. Actually, it might have been the end of 2017. I don't know. Just look up Jay Campbell. Just Google Jay Campbell and Shane Bales podcast. It's an amazing podcast. And Shane is a guy who wrote a blog called The Ruiners Blog. He started writing it in 2015, and it's absolutely brilliant stuff. It's very detailed, esoteric, like high level, like whoever he would be when no one knew who he was. They were like, who is this guy? This is insane. But anyway, his story is he also is from the special projects, and his information is so high level, it's incredible. And you can watch the podcast I did with him, but he said that there is an underground city that's completely run by clones, and it's in North America. And he doesn't know exactly where it is, but it's in the flyover country somewhere. And it's completely an underground city of clones. And what Jason told me last night was that he knows that we have had very functional, workable clones since 1998. What he doesn't know is whether or not they do have the ability to place a consciousness in that clone of you or another human being. Now,
Well,
obviously,
then how are they functional if they don't have a consciousness in them?
because they're robots, dude.
Oh, so it's all artificial intelligence. I gotcha.
Of course. But
So I mean, Donald Trump could be the guy that's president right now could be a clone.
Dude, there are people that have been telling me for a long time, and again, I won't mention their names because they're not allowed to have their names mentioned, that there are most celebrities and political figures have clones. Now,
Jay Campbell, are you a clone?
I'm not. But Bob said last night or Monday night that there were only body doubles. I definitely know that Bob is off on that data.
Yeah.
I'm 100% positive. I've had way more people. I have a lot of people in the special forces that, follow me and that I've helped through optimization and stuff like that. And a lot of those guys are like, you're getting into some really dark stuff, but trust me, they have all of that.
And it wasn't President Nixon that said, I am not a clone. No, he said, I'm not a crook. Anyway.
But seriously, if you know about genetics and you know about mapping of the human genome and you know what they did with like Watson and Crick back in the 60s and 70s, of course they can clone bodies. I mean, clone beings and clone humans. They've been able to they have cloning technology for 50 years probably.
Well, we know they can clone sheep. They cloned that sheep Dolly, right?
Exactly. But I mean, if they could clone sheep, why can't they clone a human? I mean,
exactly.
Come on.
That was my point.
It stands to reason. But again, if you follow like the CRISPR labs and the CRISPR technology, which has been massive in like underground biomedicine of the last 10 years, dude, they can do whatever they want.
So the question is, can they create a clone form without sentience and put transfer human sentience into the clone rather than it being artificial sentience?
That's actually a question for Rex, because Rex has had a lot of really smart people on his shows that have said that absolutely they can. And Shane says they can too.
Does Jason touch on that?
No, that's what he can't. We're going to ask him that and maybe he can, but I didn't ask him out last night. He just said that he doesn't know, because this is what Shane said. Shane said, and again, this is scary stuff, but Shane said that they have the ability to literally push your conscious out and bottle it and replace it with like a ghoul.
Do you think this is what walk-ins are, Jay Campbell?
Who knows? Maybe.
Could well be, because it's funny you say that, because just about maybe a month or two ago, I started thinking about if there's walk-ins, there can also be walk-outs, and sometimes.
Yeah. Well, hold on, guys. Have you guys been watching whatever his name is on Twitter? Kanye West is a clone. I mean, there isn't even a doubt. The stuff that's coming out of his Twitter in the last 3 months, all somebody would have to do is analyze every single tweet that's come from his account. And either it's been hacked or there's multiple people posting for Kanye West, or in my opinion, it's a clone, because he went from anti-Trump to supporting Trump, and now he's anti-Trump again. It's insanity.
And now he's anti-Trump again? I did not know that.
Yes, look at the posts that have come out in the last 3 days.
Here's one of the smartest guys in our chat room, if not the smartest guy. Robert, USN vet, third generation. I guess I shouldn't tell what he does, but it's way up there. He says, in a much grander scale, if we are reincarnated, we're all given amnesia before we reincarnate to keep us in the dark. Not only the secret space program, folks.
Yes, absolutely. Well, listen, you guys, there are stories. And
I think I'm going to meet Robert in the near future, potentially. And you might too, Jay, if you go to the desert thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys set that up, I'll be out there for at least a day or two. Guys, listen, there's a book out there, and I don't know the name of it. You can find it on Amazon right now. It's about this young kid who, before he turned 5, or might even be turned 4, was talking about how he was a Navyman in World War II. It's on Amazon right now. I've seen
that, yeah.
But that's just one Amazon story. There are thousands of people that have replicated this in the last, 25 to 30 years, where they're just like, it's not explainable that they're talking about previous lives. And again, as I told you, there are many people on this planet who are competent and qualified regression hypnotherapists.
Tracy says it's MK Ultra programming to have multiple personalities.
It can definitely
Could
be.
be.
And it can
But
definitely
did you
be
read the one they stuck this kid, and I thought this was verified. They stuck this young kid, 5, 6 years old, into a working model of a U.S. Navy Corsair. He fired that sucker
He knew the
up.
whole thing. He knew the
He
whole
fired.
thing.
I mean, he took
He knew
it
the
to.
whole thing.
He was ready to take off. He fired it up just like that.
Yes, he knew the whole
How
thing.
does that happen?
It's not possible. It's reincarnation. It's his soul. Some
Because
people.
I remember the first time I walked in. I was in the Air Force for 6 years, and I remember the first time I walked into the cockpit of the C-130, and I looked at it, and it was like I was so overwhelmed. But 8 months later, I knew everything there. I'm in there, boom, 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 boom. I've flown the C-130. I've taxied the C-130. I've run the engines. But there's no way to sit down and intuitively work a fighter jet, even a propeller like that kid. It was
Solar Events just made something really smart. They said we have to get the amnesia, otherwise the traumas of remembrance are too much. That's absolutely the truth. And that's what David
video games
says. That's what David Hawkins says. And there's also other great, esoteric people. Jeff, those books.
And Robert says, how does a 5-year-old sit down and play a Mozart concerto without ever having piano lessons?
Exactly. Hello. But the reality is that also those 4 books, Jeff, that we read, the Peter Moon books, that, remember that second book.
Yes.
The second book talked about there are beings that have this, advanced consciousness level from karmic, burdens of doing amazing things. And those beings do reincarnate with past remembrances of other lives. And as you go up the ladder and you do a lot of amazing things for quote unquote humanity, you come back a lot faster. You reincarnate a lot faster. And then a lot of these beings being, very high level and consciously aware are remembering. They do have a memory of their karmic experiences.
So the bottom line is, Jay, if you want to remember stuff when you die, don't be a dick, right?
I mean, just like Bob said, he said to you and me, he was like, I know and believe that you guys are really good men and you want to help people. And that's what the Great White Brotherhood says is the advance. He talked about when you die, you go to heaven or different levels of heaven. And if you're a bad person and you take advantage of people and you murder and you rape and you do all the other things that, you shouldn't be doing, you're going to hell.
Wow.
So,
so you really think, Jay, and this fascinates me, out, short list, Jay Campbell, Jeffrey Daugherty, Rex Bear, Wayne Steiger, Heidi Vandenberg, you think it's a soul group?
Oh, absolutely.
Interesting.
100%. And we've all made deals with each other that we would do one thing for each other or play a specific role. My dad.
That's so interesting.
My dad is my greatest enemy, but he's made this deal with me. And so it's like for me to be a dick to him or be an asshole or, think that he's antagonistic to me, it's my problem. It's my problem. It's my problem.
I mean, but I think about I always when I first reached out to Rex, I had 300 or 400 subscribers or something. He had 100,000 and he's like, sure, come on the show. And it didn't help him at all. And it's like, why are you doing this?
It helped his soul.
It what?
It helped his soul. His higher self knew, and your higher self and his higher self knew each other. And so you guys activated, and there was that energetic attraction. It was the same thing with me and you. Jeff said, Rex said to me, he's like, hey, man, I got to introduce you to this guy because you guys are going to really hit it off. And that was before.
Oh, did he really say that?
Yes.
That's interesting because it was so funny because I was talking to Rex today and I'm like, do you know Jay Campbell? He's like, Jeff, who introduced you to Jay Campbell? I'm like, oh, yeah. Forgot.
You're such a liar.
I'm going in a few different directions these days, Jay. Life is good.
But
and speaking of good, I just put in the chat room the Cookie Do YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. One of our up and coming young YouTubers. Good stuff, interesting stuff. And Jay and I, Jay's very big about mentoring people, and I'm trying to do my best. And Cookie Do, subscribe to him as a personal favor for me. And let's pay it forward and do what we can to help another, our brothers from another mother and our sisters from another misters.
So, and for you guys, for next week to get you guys prepared for our show, make sure you guys go on YouTube and Google or search, Joe from the Carolinas and Jason Rice and watch the show. Now, listen, the first 45 to 50 minutes are dry because Joe is he's trying to to prove that Jason's not BS and not full of it. And Jason, very, very graciously answered all the questions. Some of them were stupid, but like, he sat there, and then it got hardcore, and it was like, whoa. And again, you guys, I spoke to Jason last night, just like me and Jeff are talking right now, but it was just him and I, and he is a very down-to-earth dude. I get zero negative vibe from him. I definitely believe 100% he's telling the truth. He's extremely private. He's like, look, man, you and Jeff cannot tell where I live because my wife is not down with this, and I have kids. And, I'm doing this because this is my mission now, because more people need to know what's going on this planet. But please just don't tell where and I said, well, dude, it's going to eventually get out because people are going to search you. And he goes, I'm aware of that, and I'm okay with that. I guess something else that he's doing, which is awesome, Jeff, is so he was a very high level engineer in the secret space program. And he's a brainiac, and he is putting together something. And I don't know exactly what it is, but I think he's going to release or talk to us on the show about this. But he is trying to bring some free energy technology to the market.
Interesting.
So,
and Hanhawk Group makes a good point here. He says, I like to think of this 3D experience as temporarily descending, not incarnating, kind of like running back into a burning building to save your loved one.
Yeah. That sounds like it probably is a lot of that. I mean,
That's
again,
really good.
This is a dream. This doesn't even exist. Monica and I, by the way, had good, perfect aside. So this morning, I gotta say this. So we're at the Halloween party, right? All these young kids, they're at a school for kindergarten through 6th. West Covina, California, uppity suburb, South Hills. And all these moms, soccer moms, and, dads, and they're all with their selfie sticks, and they're taking videos of their kids in their Halloween costumes. It's absurd, right? And it's like, Monica's there talking to these women because a lot of the moms donated time today to be in the room because there's like parties and they're chaperoning. And so she comes back and gets me at like 10:30, and, we're going, our day's been shot, so we're headed to the gym. And she's like, dude, do you have any idea the lack of awareness out there? And I go, no, why don't you tell me? And then she proceeds to tell me what these mothers are talking about. And it's like, for everybody watching and listening right now and listening on the rerun, it's like, you guys know, like, and this isn't to kiss each other's butts, but like, we are at here. And the rest of the world is down here, stuck in survival programming, talking about nothing, like utter nonsense. Like, what if you and I, Jeff, were like sitting there at that party, there's, probably 1,000 people there. And we're like, guys, we want you guys to understand that this is all a dream.
Yeah, that'll go well.
It doesn't matter. We don't care about your newest thing that you're buying at Best Buy or your phone or your iPad or your selfie stick. I mean, it's insanity, dude, how lost the average human being is on this planet right now. They
That's
have no
amazing.
conscience or concept of anything.
And do you ever wonder how we get drawn together? I mean, like, Tony's down in South Florida. I'm here on the Gulf Coast of Florida. You're out there in SoCal, and yet somehow we all get connected.
It's the soul grouping, dude. We're all drawn to each other, man. It's just like Matthew said 2 weekends ago. He's like, look,
Pastor,
man,
we get to this place, I can't do it anymore. I'm done.
But think about it. If there's only 15% of us, really, in the whole planet, there's 8 billion people around the world, 15%, whatever that math is, 1.6 billion, whatever. The reality is that we have to be connected in some capacity. But thankfully, our consciousness is so high and so much higher than like the other 85% that we're keeping from the planet from collapsing and just exploding itself.
We are the only thing that's keeping this place afloat, right?
I mean, supposedly the 15%, yeah. And then
Why
the
do
ascended
people-
masters behind us,
Yeah.
the Great White Brotherhood. If that's who we believe them to be, then yeah.
And Robert, USN vet, again, probably the smartest guy in the chat room, says 100% on soul groups.
Yep.
And you can feel the love.
You can.
Jay Campbell, I have to admit, I do feel the love for you, brother.
I love you, man. Absolutely. I love all you people.
Virtual bro hug right here.
I even love all the people that start fights with me. You know,
I do too. I'm got to, and even I don't know if you noticed, I was having to just take a minute because, come on, guys, really, just it's not that big a deal. But I'm learning. I'm learning.
Heather Cooper, there's no way 15%. Yeah, there is. It's been muscle tested. I
So
know
you
it
think
does.
there are 50? She's probably saying no way it's that high.
No, it is. It is that high. It's just that we are only in our own echo chambers and bubbles of people around us. But, you know, there are people. I mean, of course, it's 15%. That's a tiny percentage, you know, and
Smaller
remember,
Vince is a bromance again.
but you know what? You know, that's good. Heather, think of it like this. The mathematics are 15% above 200.
Yeah.
200 is just truth.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're 199, you're a homicidal maniac.
Yeah.
At 200, you're like, oh, there's something else here. We are in a dream. But that doesn't mean you're at 500, which is where, you know, if you're in focused life force energy, if you got that, then you're a lot higher than the person at the baseline of 15%.
Yeah.
So
the pastor says many of us have been watching all of your channels come together the last few years. And she says we all are part of this. And personally, I think her name should be Gypsy Barbie, but she likes pastor better for some reason.
Well, it is true, though. I do believe that. I believe that all of us, you know, Gerald Clark, Rex Bear, I mean, I can name all this, you know, Wayne Steiger, Derek Bros, you know, everyone in this conscious, you know, community, we're all raising the boat. And that's, again, Matthew says that too, that when you get those people in the same, you know, confines, and even if the confines is just YouTube, you are raising the level of awareness for everyone. That's, again, in that in that percentage of people that are open to this.
Interesting.
But dude,
Rex said he was talking about doing a RexCon next year and that he'd want to get us there. So
that'd be cool.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be cool. This is a fascinating time to be alive, guys. You know,
it really is. And I mean, Jay, of all of this stuff that's going on, do you still say that this is a positive time to be alive, or do you go to bed every night afraid?
All right. Scared, restless. No, dude, you know I have no fear. It is an amazing time to be alive, but a lot of people do still go to bed fearful. You know, if I wanted to go to bed fearful, I could. If I looked at right now what's going on in the Southern California economy, it is eroding at the fastest rate that I've ever seen.
Wow.
So if I wanted to like tell everybody, oh my God, we're going into a depression, which we probably are, then I would be like fearful and be like laying in bed at night going, oh my God, what am I going to do? But I don't live like that. You know, You have to look at the positives. You have to be like, hey, I'm alive and it's a dream. Who cares?
Yeah. A dream within a dream.
You're in a dream. I mean, again, I love the comment from Bob. You don't exist. God is all that exists in an invisible form that you don't understand.
Wow.
I should put that on Twitter and put that out there.
I'm just hoping that there's enough time for the face painting contest next Halloween.
Face painting. Sorry.
No, body painting. I'm sorry.
Butt naked. You can wear your
butt naked?
You can get your little skivvies on, but don't paint around that, bro.
So it's like a bodybuilding contest.
It's not a bodybuilding contest.
No, that's what you're wearing. You're just wearing some little
Yeah, you wear essentially like little tight shorts. The girls wear like a little, you know, pasties to cover up their nipples. Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
That is it. So
anyway, there is no spoon.
How many people watching the show tonight are going to get, how many people watching right now are going to get dressed up in a Halloween costume tonight or are in a Halloween costume right now? Yes or no?
That's interesting. Jay Campbell, you are dressing up tonight.
I am.
I
promise I will put pictures. I will put pictures up.
I am not dressing up because it's just me and, you know, I'm literally by myself. So Rooney and I will not be dressing up tonight.
Why not, Jeff? Get in the spirit. Just tweet it out, bro. Do a selfie.
Well, Rex and I did a show and we were going to dress up, but his video wasn't working. So I did buy this Pope outfit, but I'm going to take it back because I didn't open it.
I did have
Stop the presses. Shecky Green says Halloween is a satanic ritual.
Only in your mind. It's not actually. Actually, Halloween, or is it All Hallows Eve is not a satanic. holiday. It's not true.
Mark Sinner saying is going to a biker party dressed as a biker.
That's badass.
Oh, that's original.
What about the rest of you guys? Come on, man.
Come on, you guys. Tell us what you're going in.
Yep. What are your costumes?
Tracy says that it's all I can do to get dressed, let alone in costume.
Okay, so how many of you are sitting there right now in your underwear eating Pringles or Cheetos?
Wow. Jesse is taking the kids for candy.
Awesome.
Oh, Mr. Twister's going as Deadpool.
2 years ago today, I was cut in half, so it's a good day to me. So you only have half your body, Stephen Holloway?
I'm not sure what that means. Is T.L. Clark going as Popcorn?
Deadpool's cool.
Oh, listen to this. See, this is the entertaining part. Jeffrey can laugh, but there's more human sacrifice this night than any other. Bullshit. That is complete stupidity. That is not true. That is stupid. That is idiotic. I'm so sorry. Did I say that out loud?
Rex Bear. Who are you? I'm Rex Bear, bro. The League Project. That's awesome.
Oh, that's what you're going to go dressed up as? Oh, that's hilarious. Who are you? Oh, the pastor's going as a grandma because she is a grandma. That's funny.
I'm fasting, debating on testosterone therapy, WM. Just send me an email, bro. Definitely help.
Why are you debating?
Yeah, there's definitely no reason.
See, this is the difference between me and smart people. You heard what I just said to Shecky. And Tracy Dyer says, Shecky, that's naive. And I'm like, you're stupid. That's idiotic.
Listen,
dumb.
The one thing that Bob didn't talk about was that, but he did mention at the end about the pedophilia becoming lessened. And I do agree with that because we do know that a lot of the quote unquote figures in that world are being shut down. And we also know, and actually I talked about this with somebody this weekend when I was lecturing in Toronto, the marijuana industry, meaning the endocannabinoids and cannabis and all of that blowing up, the reason that is getting bigger, and I know I've told you this before, Jeff, and I'll share it publicly now because someone very smart told me this, is because the dark web has been shut down for the most part. And
really?
all of the e-commerce, which is, remember, was the adrenochrome sales and the drug money moving cash, through the dark web, they've shut it mostly down, and most of that illicit cash is now in cannabis.
No kidding. Does it bother people that are participants in cannabis-related activities, be they recreational or be they medicinal? Does it bother you that the government's getting involved and it looks like marijuana is going GMO?
So here's something I got to tell everybody, and you're not going to like this. So a lecturer in Canada this weekend, who is one of the smartest cannabis lecturers in the world, scientist for more than 25 years in researching, told everyone in the audience who happened to be at his lecture, which he was in room 1, so there was at least 1,100 people there, and it was packed.
Wow.
He told them that it's the biggest scam ever. He said, first off, CBD oil is a scam.
Really? Jay, you're saying CBD oil is a scam?
Yes, because this is why it's a scam. If CBD oil was worth your while, it would be illegal because the amount of THC and the amount of cannabis that would need to be in the CBD oil for it to be effective the federal government would not allow it. That's number one. And then number two, the majority, it's just like the supplement industry. The majority of the CBD oil that's actually in the marketplace, if you tested it, you would find that it's not up to label claims.
But Jay, it works for me. Explain to people the placebo effect.
I was about ready to say, so 95% of the effect that you feel when you take an over-the-counter, again, non-pharmaceutical graded agent, not regulated by the DEA and the FDA, is placebo. Because it cannot be proven.
What about all the supplements that increase your testosterone, Jake?
There aren't any, man. There aren't any. You've been scammed. If you buy any of those bee pollen, boron, any of that nonsense. What is the other one? Tongkat Ali, the African tree bark. I mean, come on.
Mark Center Saint, who I'll just say probably has some expert, it's probably an expert in this area, says that marijuana is no good anymore because it's GMO'd.
Dude, listen, that is a whole nother conversation in of itself. But guys, There's only one reason that marijuana is being put into the mainstream. It's to dumb you down further. That's why. It's just like alcohol. It's just like cigarettes. It's just like GMO. It's just like benzodiazepine, all these terrible SSRI drugs that they prescribe people. Everything that they are now legalizing and putting into circulation is to make you dumber and controllable. It's that simple. If you're going to smoke marijuana all the time, you are going to become stupid. Jeffrey, how many people do you and I know our whole lives who've been smoking marijuana that are basically brain dead? Most
Dude, I knew this back in high school.
That's what I mean. But see, they'll tell you, and this is where people get manipulated. They tell you that the medicinal quality, bro, is way better.
Yeah.
Because they have bump weed and they have chill weed and they have, dude, marijuana, when you smoke it habitually, does things to your your short-term memory. It does all kinds of stuff to your dendritic pathways. It dumbs you down. Now, again, like anything in moderation, it's cool. You want to go out and, roll on MDMA, or take an ethnogenic drug and you want to extend the high of it, then smoke a little bit of weed at the end. And it does. It will increase serotonin receptor uptake. Mm-hmm. But smoking marijuana every day to numb yourself, to escape, you're becoming a vegetable. Holy crap.
I have to say this, and I shouldn't say this, but I get this all the time. Well, if we're not supposed to smoke marijuana, why do we have a cannabis receptor in our brain?
Oh, God.
Well, just so you know, you also have an arsenic receptor in your brain.
There's a lot of receptors in the brain. I mean, listen, there's a really smart endocannabinoid researcher that I saw 4 weeks ago in Tucson at the, what was it? It's Neil Rougier's group. I forget what it's called, but it was an amazing lecture.
Tracy Dyer. Are you letting a plant rule your life?
I mean, it's like anything, guys. It's just in moderation. But if you believe what you hear now about medicinal marijuana being the cure-all for everything, you're not educated. It's that simple. Now listen, I do say this. If you have chronic pain,
Campbell, you're the only one that throws more bombs than I do.
Dude, if you have chronic pain, okay, and the sick care system has failed you, and there's absolutely no doubt about this. Let me make this very, very clear. Marijuana, in comparison to all of these horrific pain medications, is a better choice. No doubt about it, okay? But if you think that marijuana is not going to cause brain damage, then you're just not smart. I'm sorry, you don't understand what marijuana does to your brain.
Silver Crow says, marijuana, the proud sponsor of, we forget.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, if you're dying of cancer and you do not want to be on these horse pills that, make your liver fall out and cause kidney nephrolysis and all these other issues, then smoke marijuana. You're already got a death sentence. But if you're going to be one of those people that says, man, CBD oil at night and marijuana during the day, bro, and I'm never going to get sick, you're just going to be retarded. I mean, you're not going to have your brain's not going to work at peak optimal functioning. It's just not going to work.
I love this, Jay Campbell. This is awesome.
We went
marijuana. What's that?
So we went from the Great White Brotherhood and Bob Sanders to marijuana.
So both you and I, people hate us because we're saying, if you drink alcohol, you're stupid. And now if you smoke marijuana, you're stupid.
Anything that the mainstream gives you and then supports with data, knowing that we're in the matrix, knowing that we're run by a cabal that doesn't care about you, as Rex always says, because they love us so.
Yeah. What's in your hand, Jay?
Oh, it's the...
your stuff in your drink. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the reality though is it's so simple. It's, again, you have a choice. Are you going to let the, whoever controls, the mainstream, the archons, as Bob said, the archons control the mainstream. Are you going to let them dictate your life, or are you going to become smart and proactive and be optimized? It's your choice. Do what you want.
So like Zoroaster 40 says, back to the Great White Brotherhood, or somebody said, Dana said, back to Bob Sanders. That was the best show ever. Wins part 2.
That's a good question. I think that we talked to Jason Rice. And then it's up to you and I. Do we bring him back before Thanksgiving? I mean, for sure.
You gave him a date, didn't you? Didn't you give him a date?
Well, I told him I thought we would bring him on in early December because I thought me and you needed to process it. And
that's a great idea.
Ultimately, guys, what I would like for all of you guys that watch the show, again, because without you guys, there wouldn't be Jeff and I would like you guys to analyze that and cut it to pieces and come at us with 20 more questions. And it should not be 20 questions that are new. It should be 20 questions to break down his answers and say, okay, Bob, if we buy that, then what if?
Yeah. But he didn't even get through the first 20 questions we gave him, did he?
No, he did. I mean, you know, there were 4 questions that he did. I've looked at it. There were 4 questions he didn't answer specifically, but he
Tracy's making a list of questions. We'll have to take a look at that one. She's
awesome.
Pretty fair.
But I mean, yeah, you guys, all of you, I encourage all of you.
Don't tell her I said that.
All of you guys make a list of questions, but he did answer them all because the 4 that he didn't answer, he answered indirectly.
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
so we did. He did. That's another question. Did he answer them? Yes, he did answer them.
He did. There was nothing that you and I left off. I mean, you know, we could have left him go on the spirituality and the veganism. And, you know, again, the veganism stuff is, if you want to be vegan, be a vegan. Choose to be a vegan, but do it right. Don't be one of those people. And here's something, Jeff, that we didn't talk about with Bob, but, you know, the really smart vegans, and there are really smart vegans that are very supportive of like choice and pro-choice, and they don't try to like attack people. They say it very much and all the time. They say the average vegan has no idea what they're doing because they eat GMO food.
Right.
That's not animal. So it's duh. I mean, if we believe, right, if we believe that the GMO food actually has like human, you know, rat feces, human, who knows what, if they're mangling up kids and
I love the rat feces in my food.
But I mean, seriously, we don't know what's in GMO food. So if you eat GMO food as a vegan, you're not a vegan. You buy boxed stuff off the shelf because it doesn't have animal meat in it, supposedly. Hello. If you're a vegan, you're eating vegetables, roots, nuts, and even nuts, right? If they're coming out of a bottle from Nabisco.
Or Planters.
Yeah, I mean, dude. So ultimately, to be a real vegan, you got to work. It's like I said in the show. It costs money.
Yeah.
There's preparation. There's a lot of work to be a vegan. It's not easy.
And you have to eat a large volume of food, right, as well.
I mean, there's no doubt, dude. And that's the one thing that the guy that, you know, reached out to me on Tuesday morning told me yesterday. He said, like, look, man, you know, being a vegan is not easy. It's a hardcore, you know, endeavor. You got to be militant in your life and a preparation standpoint, you know, to get the energy, nutrients, and the density, because that's the issue. Majority of vegans are deficient in essential fatty acids and deficient in protein. And dude, if you don't have those, you're going to have issues with your brain and you're going to have issues with your spine. It's that simple.
With your spine. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why majority of women who are vegans for a long term have massive spinal bifida issues and osteoporosis and what's it called? What's the disease that women get? I forget. Oh, lordosis, where they get the curvature of the spine and they bend over. You don't want to live your life like that where you can't move and you're, you know, like an invalid bent over. No, that's a horrible life.
Wow. And it's a personal decision. We each have our own personal, physiological, biological needs. And hey, do what works for you and what makes you feel comfortable and what makes you feel fulfilled. And don't judge your neighbor just because they do something different to reach that same place. Love each other. Be nice to each other.
Yeah. I mean, put it this way. I'll leave it at this. We can shut it down because I got to get on a show here in 30 minutes. By the way, this has been awesome, guys. And we appreciate you guys watching in the middle of the day. But I would be willing to wager that if you got 100 people that ate meat, now, again, all things being equal, we're not taking 100 people out of the general population, but if you took 100 people who took care of themselves and were optimized that ate meat, and you got 100 people that were vegans, hardcore vegans that were also optimized, hold on, and you put them together and you tested them in a variety of tests, and I would talk about brain speed scan, physical aptitude, strength, endurance, all those things, there ain't no way the vegans are going to outperform the meat eaters. It ain't going to happen. It's just not. There will never be a study funded that way unless I did it myself. And I definitely know the researchers to do that. But the vegans wouldn't ever put themselves in that capacity. They wouldn't do it. They would lose. They know they would lose. So that's why they wouldn't do it. But, again, you're right, Jeff. It's a choice. Am I going to possibly become a vegan? Yes, I am. I'm openly admitting that. I'm going to try to do it just to try to do it because I want to do it. But that doesn't mean it's going to last. And personally, if it's hard for me and my brain power starts going down and I can't create the content that I create at this level, I will go back to eating meat.
Yep. Somebody typed in the chat room when I laughed. They said somewhere a vegan pot smoker is really bummed right now.
Jeff, before we sign off, when you did it, like how weak did you feel? Honestly,
I didn't feel necessarily weak. I just never felt great.
Okay, so define that though. What does that mean?
Well, I wasn't working out then, so, and I remember I started trying to work out. I started trying to do, I think it was Insanity or something, one of those things, and I kept pulling my hamstrings.
Exactly.
I mean, I kept pulling my hamstrings.
But that could have also been too that you were dehydrated. There's a million things that could have been.
And it could have been because I was fat too.
Well, but remember what the guy told me. When you're a vegan, the work that you have to do to ensure that you have no nutritional deficiencies is far greater than when you eat animal protein, because a lot of people just get a lot of those vitamins and minerals from animal protein.
Yeah. Well, Jay, if you come up with a plan, I will follow it with you and we'll see how it works.
Yeah, no, I have no problem. And I really do believe that I'm going to, and I already put the week down in December that I plan on creating something.
Cool. Sounds great.
Yep.
Sounds great. I did it for about 18 months. Somebody asked, but it's great to have,
How did you feel when you went back to eating meat? Was there a transition? Like metabolically?
You really want me to be honest? I mean, when I went back to eating meat, it was like instant, boom. Now I feel great again.
Felt better, yeah.
Well, I'm O positive too. I'm O positive blood type.
But that was also because of the B vitamins and the creatine. The energetic response you get, comes immediately back. And again, I'm not here, we're going to get attacked. You know that because I said some crazy stuff here, but I don't care if you eat meat, and I don't care if you've been a vegan for 30 years and you're ripped and you look amazing. Gerald's in amazing shape. He does yoga like twice a day. He can, pull his arms behind. Gerald Clark was a bodybuilder, and in shape like you and me at one time, bro. So it's like, I know that people who become vegan become in great shape. I just know they have to work harder. And also, for the record, Gerald Clark's wife is like a famous vegan cook.
No kidding. That
so she makes all these amazing vegan recipes and stuff. Gerald Clark's wife is Krista Clark. If you're vegan and you're not following Krista Clark, you're missing out, man. She has a huge email list. She makes all these vegan recipes. She's big. So look her up on Google. It's Krista Clark. Yeah.
Somebody asked me what my next book is. I think it is something along the line of Beautiful Seduction, Twin Flame Seduction, and Dark Love Spell. Something along those lines. I'm serious.
Jeff,
why are you laughing, Jay?
It sounds right up your alley. Dark Love Spell.
Why are you laughing, Jay?
I'm not. I think it's perfect. Dark Love Spell. That's the name of the book right there, dude. Don't go any further. Dark Love Spell. But it should be, I was under a dark love spell. My story.
Ladies and gentlemen, I did not say that. Jay Campbell said that. So if you're going to quote somebody,
we've all been under dark love
Jay
spells.
Campbell.
We've all been under dark love spells. Me, for sure.
Thanks a lot, Tracy Dyer, for asking that question. Of course, I could have just not answered it, but somehow I don't have the ability to not answer a question that gets asked to me. All righty then.
Shut her down.
I guess that's it, bro. Well, have fun on the other show, man.
I will, for sure. And you guys, we appreciate everything you guys do.
T.L. Clark, I know you told me so. And let me just say this to T.L. Clark. I've had a lot of people say to me, bro, we knew blah, 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 but we didn't say anything. T.L. Clark said something. There's some other guy on this podcast that said something. So can I just say next time you see me screwing up, help a brother out and say something.
No, man. Remember, he didn't screw up, guys. It's all a learning experience. It really is. I mean, my ex-wife put me in jail and she's sleeping in my house now.
There you go, Jay.
I mean, if that's not forgiveness, what is? You
That's
know,
awesome.
and my ex, and and Monica and my ex are friends.
That's awesome.
So that's what life is about. It's not a collapse, a failure, a disaster. It's just a learning experience. What you do with it is your choice.
Jay, I want you to answer this one last question. Tracy Dyer asked, but Jeff, would you have listened? Jay, give her the answer.
No. But I mean, the truth is no one listens. I mean, you guys have all heard that funny story about how a wife or a husband will never listen to their significant other, but they can pull up to the corner on the road and some bum on the corner, if they asked for that person's advice for the same questions, they would listen. That's just the way human nature is. You can't, I forget what this, there's like an axiom, but no one is going to change until they have to.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
so we went about 5 minutes too long in that show, but hey, there you go. Jay, awesome. Good to see you, brother. We'll see you again Monday night.
Yep, for sure. Actually, we'll talk. Let's just shut it down right now and I'll talk to you for 1 second.
All right, brothers. Take care, brothers and sisters. Love and light. We appreciate y'all. Have a great Halloween and don't eat too much candy corn.
Happy Halloween.
Adios, ladies and gentlemen.